T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his actions.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
King Harris is just 20 years old, but right now he is fighting for his life in an Atlanta hospital. After a night that shook his entire family and left fans stunned, reports say it all started when he was driving his BMW and almost clipped a police cruiser while leaving a gas station. Officers claimed there was a strong suspicious smell around his car and noticed a firearm on his hip. Once they ran his name, they discovered an active bench warrant from Pickens County tied to a 2022 DUI charge, a suspended license, and a missed court appearance that had turned his legal troubles into a ticking time bomb. After being arrested, King was quickly moved between counties, Dunwoody, Decatur, and Pickens, and somewhere in the middle of those transfers. Something went terribly wrong by the time the dust settled. King was rushed to the ICU. And now rumors are spreading that this was far more than a routine jailhouse fight. Officials tried to frame the incident as just a minor fight.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting has gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
Fight behind bars, but the timeline does not add up. How does a non-violent, high-profile offender end up in intensive care within hours of being transferred while guards claim they saw nothing? No mugshot, no perp walk, just silence. And now the entire Harris family empire is under a spotlight because King is not just another troubled youth. He is the son of Ty, the self-proclaimed king of the South, and Tiny, the velvet-voiced star whose family once turned reality TV into a global brand. This dynasty that built hustle into a household name is suddenly crumbling in front of the world, and the warning signs were there months ago. Remember the viral meltdown last November at Mercedes-Benz Stadium when T.I. was caught on camera, wrestling his own son into a headlock? After King went live, accusing his parents of lying about his childhood, insisting he never had it easy, Ty fired back with cold precision, asking if King had ever woken up with a roach on his face, and Tiny cut in with an even sharper jab, exposing embarrassing details from his childhood. The scene ended with shouting red faces and Ty muttering that his son was embarrassing himself. All of it streamed live to millions. What we are seeing now with his arrest and hospitalization is not a shocking twist. It is the next chapter in a long, slow...
So him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, he just don't care.
Slow public unraveling. Just weeks before the arrest, King shared a close-up photo of his own eye bruised and swollen with the caption, "Still got my chain," followed by laughing emojis. He tried to play it cool, but fans and insiders saw something darker. Only 2 days earlier, he had gone live rapping behind the wheel with smoke filling the car and his grandmother, Tiny's mother, who has always been the anchor of the family, left a heartfelt comment, begging him to stop smoking so much. King replied with an apology saying he loved her. But the tension was clear and heavy as the same odor that later drew police attention to his BMW. This is a young man raised in a house full of siblings, cameras, and constant
crediting and trying to take shit I done did and be like, nah, it ain't good. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's like
attention. Yet somehow he built a reputation for pure chaos. The family wanted to project a picture of normalcy and love, but the world kept spotting cracks in the facade, each one slowly chipping away at the legacy. And then came the October baby shower, a Simba-themed celebration for King and his partner Janiyah Epps, with Tiny smiling proudly in every clip, golden tables, 2 tier cakes, and glossy maternity portraits. Tiny even posted, "My baby is having a baby. I'm too excited about my grandson." Coming, it was meant to show a dynasty preparing for its next chapter, but as the blue and gold balloons floated, the shadows of rumor only grew darker. Once the baby arrived, social media exploded with paternity drama, whispers of secret DNA tests, and claims King was not the real father. Tiny clapped back online, dismissing it all, but the stress was visible in every corner of the family, and the timing was brutal, because just weeks earlier, while Ty was posting about forever love on a tropical beach, Sabrina, the same figure tied to past Harris scandals, reappeared online, dropping accusations that shook the internet. She claimed she had receipts implicating T. Tiny and even King in human trafficking, saying the feds already have this, but the fans need to know her words reignited a firestorm packed with threats of leaked texts, stories of young women alleged forced substances, and claims of a family-wide conspiracy over the years. More than 15 people had already come forward, sparking canceled shows, day investigations, and lawsuits. Though nothing.
Yes, that's right. Lawyer Tyrone Blackburn is going to authorities, asking and encouraging state and federal prosecutors to start a criminal investigation into T.I. and Tamika Harris, aka Tiny, on behalf of 11 accusers.
Nothing had stuck. Ty and Tiny kept insisting they were innocent and would not be shaken down. But the longer Sabrina posted, the more the public turned its eyes on the Harris children, watching them stumble under the weight of a crumbling empire more closely, King most of all. The contrast between public celebration and private crisis hit its peak when T.I. and Tiny marked 15 years of marriage. Their Instagram feeds were glowing with couple selfies from Thailand, Tiny flashing a jeweled necklace and Ty writing about fighting for each other through tough times. The world double-tapped on the fairy tale, but fans sensed the storm one moment. Ty was promising to turn his grandson into the greatest gangster of all time. The next King was live streaming chaos from an NFL suite or posting photos of bruises with a smirk. The unraveling was accelerating, and now with King lying in the ICU at Grady Memorial, Atlanta is buzzing with rumors. Insiders.
What we not gonna do is open up the door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. Open up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in, chime in, and make their opinions about what we do and don't do or should or shouldn't do. But I will say this, whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual adults.
Whisper, this was no routine jail fight. Stories are spreading about masked intruders spotted near his room, a nurse who claimed strange men in maintenance uniforms were hanging around the ward, and a mysterious 20-minute blackout in the hospital security cameras. Administrators have fallen silent, leaving everyone asking the same question. What are we not being told? Ty, who normally controls every narrative, was reportedly seen in the hospital hallway, smashing a chair, while Tiny, who had just been celebrating her new grandchild, was now in tears, begging nurses for answers. The whispers around Grady Memorial only grew darker. Some saying King's ventilator had been tampered with, others claiming his life support machines mysteriously failed again, just as an unmarked black van appeared on the lot before that security footage also vanished by morning. Nothing is confirmed, but in Atlanta, where everyone knows someone inside the hospital, the rumors feel real as the hum outside the ICU doors. People are asking, was this a tragic end to a reckless lifestyle, or the first calculated strike to take down the Harris dynasty? The weight of years of shadows now feels unbearable, because King's fight for life is only the newest headline in a saga that refuses to die. It all traces back to January 2021. When Sabrina Peterson, once a close friend, accused T.I. of holding her at gunpoint, that single post set off a firestorm overnight. She was flooded with messages from more than 15 women alleging forced substances, late-night coercion. And waking up without memory, she dropped screenshots, teased videos, and pulled in a team of attorneys. Soon, police in Los Angeles and Nevada were
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
Revisiting claims stretching back years. But the system was on the Harris side. Deadlines had passed. Prosecutors in both states said out of time, no charges. The headlines faded, but the stain never left, and every scandal since has only deepened the cracks. For every time Ty and Tiny thought they scored a win in court, another blow landed when Sabrina Peterson tried to sue them for defamation. The case collapsed, and by March, the court ordered her to pay almost $97,000 in legal fees. But the victory
Been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle.
Right.
Now, it does come with some, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your bed.
was short-lived because as soon as that ink dried, new lawsuits came under California's Abuse and Cover-Up Accountability Act, a law that reopened the door for civil suits. Even when criminal cases had expired, the Harrises kept calling the stories fake, insisting details kept changing. But every time the courtroom lights switched on, their family name took another bruise, and the dynasty looked more fragile. The irony in all of this is that Ty himself predicted it long ago, when he crowned himself king of the...
Me and my dad, man, we had a relationship. Like, it was like, to the point to where he know me, I know you, but it was almost like Ghost and Tariq in Power, bro.
The South. He never meant it as a throne, but as a chessboard. And in chess, the goal is to capture the king. He even admitted, every peer warned him, if you claim the crown, you paint a target on your back, and nobody is going to help you. Decades later, those words feel less like bravado and more like a curse hanging heavy over the Harris family. Even when Ty tried to rise above it, posting Instagram sermons about choosing not to spread lies, his words rang hollow, drowned out by the avalanche of rumors, scandals, and whispers that now define the dynasty. What makes King's saga even more volatile is the psychological battle between him and Ty, played out under bright lights and phone cameras, their most infamous. Clash at the Falcons game was not just a viral family spat, it was a father and son wrestling over identity. Ty, the seasoned patriarch, joked about his son needing a pacifier until age 12, while King, red-faced and furious, shouted that he stood on business, demanding the world see him as tough, not coddled, when Ty locked him in a headlock. It looked less like discipline and more like a symbolic move, a father yanking away a torch before his son could grab it. The message was clear: legacy is not given. It's
saying, no, you're not this. You're not this. And then I'm going to him saying, bro, why you doing that? Why you even doing that? He like, bro, the point is to make them think that you're not this. That's the whole goal.
It is taken or denied. And that moment exposed years of tension. King constantly insisting he grew up in the trenches, not behind mansion walls, I just as often pulling him back toward the family brand of hustle, order, and control. So, while fans watched it as entertainment for the Harrises, it was an identity crisis rooted in fame, masculinity, and generational pride. All of this only turned King into a lightning rod for controversy. The public watched him...
Our issue with King. First off, the kid's a menace, right? He goes around... No, I'm serious. Yo, King, listen. King goes around terrorizing the community of Atlanta, bro. That's a fact, bro. I'm serious, bro.
Reject his parents' version of his childhood and try to carve out his own legend in defiance of the empire he was born into. Every arrest, every viral rant, every bruised selfie and cryptic post kept fueling tabloids, but it also built a darker mythology around his collapse. Because in the Harris world, this was never just about a reckless youth spiraling. It was about succession, a fight over who defines strength, survival, and legacy in a family where the crown has never been secure and the throne is always contested. The story has now shifted from family drama to something darker and faceless. 3 different sources tied to the Atlanta hip-hop scene insist King's blood work at the ICU showed traces of toxins no doctor at Grady Memorial will acknowledge, and insiders claim this is no longer about a wild brawl or a feud between father and son, but industry politics at their most ruthless. According to one former road manager, King had been talking about dropping names, not just rappers but executives, and that made people nervous. The theory is ugly, but the timeline fits too well to dismiss. The label has gone silent. The hospital refuses questions, and the city is buzzing with speculation. Did someone want King silenced before he could speak? Or are we only...
The actor would tell you when the camera's on, you get into character. You get into, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about reality, it's all real, it's all natural, but some things are, you know what I'm saying? Some things are needed for the climax and the rising of the episodes and stuff like that. So sometimes...
chasing smoke. Meanwhile, chaos has spilled onto the streets outside Grady Memorial. Protesters have gathered chanting, "Protect King and no more setups." Mothers with strollers standing next to hardened activists in family hustle shirts. The crowd swelled so quickly, Atlanta police arrived in riot gear. Helicopters circled as cameras searched for a glimpse of Ty or Tiny, who are rumored to be sleeping in the waiting room by sunset. The chants echoed off the glass windows. "Let King live, let King live inside," the atmosphere is raw staff. Whisper that the family has been briefed on all possible outcomes. One source said doctors have used words like prepare and decisions. No one wants to say it out loud, but everyone knows what it means, yet something bigger is taking shape. King is no longer seen as just a troubled celebrity son. He has become a symbol for every young black artist swallowed by an industry that smiles on stage while sharpening knives behind closed doors. Social media is now flooded with edits of his childhood moments, wild outbursts, tender hugs from time.
Top royalty accused of drugging and assaulting women. Rapper, actor, and businessman Clifford T.I. Harris, along with his wife, Tamika Tiny Cottle, they're being named in a massive lawsuit.